Hello and welcome back to part 2. Joso's here. As some of you may know, I was recently invited by the amazingly talented Enchanterium sisters to be a part of their first annual Ballgown Sewdown. I had the honor to work alongside amazing creators, so please feel free to check out their work. It's amazing and you're gonna fall in love. And I won't keep you guys waiting, so let's go ahead and jump straight in. To begin the beading process, I needed to weed and iron the beading guide onto the bodice. It's kind of like a coloring book. The beading guide is the drawing and we have to color in with the beads. That's kind of how I see it, and honestly, it made it really fun for me. Once it was ironed out, I kind of felt like something was off, so I went ahead and double checked to see if my pattern matched the HTV outline, and it did not. On the bright side, the difference was minor, so it was a quick fix, so no biggie there. Another step I needed to complete before beading was sewing on the lining. The beads would get too close to the seam allowance on the neckline, and the little rings or the little circles would kind of make like a scalloped edge that would be nearly impossible for me to sew on its own. So with the lining sewn on, it is time to begin beading.
Yeah, it's like, I understand that these.
I kicked the beading off by sewing the golden rings around the bust first. All I did was count how many beads I needed to make one ring before tacking it down a few times around its circumference. I then repeated it like 20 times. After sewing the rings, I wanted to add something to outline them, so using a smaller bead, I'd fill up my thread and tack them down as close as possible to the rings. Moving a little lower on the guide, I wanted to fill in that line in the center, so I used this crystal chain that ended up being one of the best items I purchased for this dress project. I really liked their size and how they reflect and shine and everything, and sewing them was also like super simple, like it was a breeze. I then moved on to the little U shapes and beaded under them using the same smaller beads at the top around the rings, and under the crystal chain, back to the center, I ended up adding a row of bugles, golden bugles. And I was not lying when I said I really liked that chain earlier, because I ended up kind of going nuts with it and added it around the rings on the top and the U shapes. So this is how far I've gotten as of now. I ended up adding some of the little chain around this part, and I also added another row of golden bugles. That's for that. I'm thinking about adding some of the curly glass beads and some of these, and start filling in the rest. I don't think I will be adding any more gold. I'm kind of happy with the amount of gold we have going on here. If anything, maybe like a row of bugles down here, or like a... See, the thing about having them up here is that they're at a curve, so I really had to get creative in this. I really had to get creative in this part since it kind of cut off here, so I ended up just clipping and making it this length. And do the same over here, and as you can see, there's some differences. The golden beads on this side go up all the way. Over here, not so much. I'm gonna be pulling them down a little more. But yeah, nothing major. It's not too noticeable. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how everything's looking. And it is actually the 21st. This is due basically tomorrow. I should be sending the picture tomorrow of the whole dress sewn on the doll with the wig. Everything together. But this is where I'm at now, and I severely underestimated how long the beading would take. Like always, I just underestimate how long the beading will take. Basically every step, I tend to forget that mishaps happen, and you know, you just have to like deal with them. Okay, so I'm gonna jump back in and start putting everything in. By this point, I really needed to start filling the bodice as much as possible, so I began adding these iridescent pearl-like beads to the center of the rings and U-shapes, and also under the last row of the golden beads. Okay, so at this point I was installing one of my favorite beads that I got for the entire project. I know I've been saying that a lot, but this is just my favorite bead, not my favorite chain. And it totally reminded me of the silver crystal in Sailor Moon. Now take a look at them, they're like nearly the same shape, and the way it reflects and everything, it's just so similar, and I was just so happy to use them. And they're made out of crystal, like actual crystal, like how cool is that? To complete the beading, I went ahead and filled in any empty spots with the clear beads, as well as adding more pearl beads at the sides of the rings to really tie everything in. And we're all set. No, I'm just kidding. I added a few more rows of golden bugles and tiny transparent iridescent beads at the bottom row and inside the golden rings. Two days of work and an all-nighter later and we're all done. I started beading on the 20th at 2 p.m. and didn't finish until the 22nd at 8 p.m. So I was exhausted after this and still went on to continue sewing the dress. The first step in sewing the dress was sewing the darts using the ladder stitch. From there, I cut out 2 circle skirts, gathered them at the waist, and carefully sewed them down to the beaded bodice. I finally cut out the bodice from the excess fabric and tried it on. I ended up noticing a few gaps where the darts were, so I ended up filling them in and also secured some of the beads since they seemed to be hanging off in some areas. I guess I didn't fully tack them down where they all needed to be, so I went ahead and did all of that. And this is the final result. With the beading all set, I trimmed the skirts to their final length. I also prepared fishing wire by winding it onto a wooden rod and heating it so I could control the size of its curves. I then sewed the hem with a small casing so I could run the fishing line through it. The end result gives a wavy effect that gives off an illusion of movement. And to finally finish the dress, I installed some golden eyelets. Now, the bow was fairly simple to sew. It was drafting the pattern that took a toll on me. Probably because this was at 4 a.m. and trying to wrap your head around a new pattern drafting concept at that time after sewing a dress all night probably wasn't the best idea. In the end, I was extremely satisfied with the end results. These are the prints I made. Now these are the prints I made for the project. I sadly didn't have time to work on the eyes, but I do plan on working with them in the future. Now for the sleeves, I used UV nail polish and painted over the parts I kind of wanted to pop the most. Now for some reason I kind of assumed it was safe to touch since it's for nails, but I quickly learned that it was still resin. I ended up developing contact dermatitis while painting the sleeves. It happened kind of quickly, but gradually over the time I was like painting, it completely freaked me out. But if you kind of pay attention to the filming, like at first my hand looks normal, but then towards the end you can see a little bit of red, like little bumps. They're not as noticeable on camera, but in person it like literally looked like my hand aged like 10 years in the span of an hour. It was super scary, but thankfully it subsided overnight and nothing really permanent happened. Okay, if you want to see the contact dermatitis, you can kind of see it a little better right now. If you pause right now, you'll be able to see how it kind of looked at its worst. Now, before we can try anything on, let's go ahead and unbox the amazing face up the cat from Magical Girl Kit Kat sent us. She worked so hard on this, I just know it because she was also working on her own face up and her own project for the Sewdown while doing this. Kat, I just want you to know you did an amazing job and I'm forever grateful for you for sharing your artwork with me and doing this for me. Honestly, thank you so much. I am in love with her and I will cherish her forever. I love you tons. Now let's give Usagi her blue eyes and dress her up. And this concludes the Ballgown Sewdown for 2025. I know I took a long time to upload part 2. I'm deeply sorry for the delay. Please take a moment to go and support my fellow collaborators and rewatch their videos so we can boost them. They were beyond supportive and never once rushed or made me feel bad for taking my time to post. It's the least I can do. It was an honor to work alongside them and I look forward to many, many more projects in the future. Thank you guys so much.